Welcome back to my channel, Planty People. Ooh, that's bright. I'm just gonna turn that way. I have decided to make a video about my moss poles. Is this in the frame? I don't know. Recently on Instagram, I made a short little video showcasing some of my best moss poles, and it kind of got a lot of attention, a lot more than I'm used to on Instagram. And so it seemed like something that people are interested in. Oops, somebody texted me. It's my liege, my fiance. Anyway, moss poles seems like something that people are interested in, and so I wanted to kind of show all my moss poles and maybe if if there's enough interest, I can show a little bit how I make moss poles and how I maintain them. I know that there is a lot of content actually out there about moss poles. I know this because this is how I learned about moss poles. A few people that I was inspired by to start making moss poles, and they helped me learn how to make and maintain them, were a few people on Instagram. Jan, I hope I said that right, from Sydney Plant Guy in Australia. He has magnificent moss poles, so huge. He has like a whole wall of them, and they're really amazing. He mostly used like a wire mesh moss pole so that multiple vines can be growing on it at once. Whereas I kind of use these plastic ones here, which are a little smaller, and they have a closed back to keep moisture in, and you can't have anything running up the back. Obviously, it's a little bit hard to get even 2 vines growing up one of these poles. A person that I know that uses these poles a lot is Plants by Melissa on Instagram. She started off with a lot of wire poles, plastic poles, like mesh poles, and then she still has a lot, but she started using these for some of the smaller plants. She also grows her plants very, very big, and so these can be a little bit unsteady for the big plants. I find that I really have to rest them or hang them against things. Another person that I follow mostly on YouTube, which is where she posts the most, is Wild Fern in Canada. She has a lot of thickly poles, which are these, and Rousseau poles, which are also closed back poles. And yeah, she has some great plants on her moss poles as well, but she's mostly uses these. Whereas Melissa uses like a mixture of both. She has some of these, and then Jan mostly uses mesh poles. So hopefully I wasn't playing with this water bottle too much while I was talking. I'm a fidgeter. But this is how I water the moss poles, I guess, is I just use an old water bottle and poke a hole in it, or a few little holes, and make sure that the hole like touches the moss, is what I've noticed, because if it doesn't quite touch the moss, then the pressure of the water in the bottle doesn't quite overcome like this little hole. Water is weird chemically, but if it's touching something, it breaks that surface tension of the water at the hole, so it will water the pole more easily. Okay, I'm going to show you all my moss poles. I'm going to start with just this 2 that I have out here, and then okay, it's getting to be a little bit of a shit show in here, as I have 4 dogs demanding some sort of attention from me. So anyway, I will hopefully get that under control and get started. Okay, I had to switch to the front-facing camera so that I could actually see what was in frame. And I don't know where my tripod is. So I'm just gonna have to place my iPad wherever the heck it will stand up for me to show you these plants. So I only have 2 moss poles out here in my main living room area. 2 kind of newer moss poles, I'll say. Apollo, you don't need to go outside. Just wait, please. I sing to the dogs often so that I don't yell at them. Just calm, be calm. Okay, so the first one here is my Monstera Esqueleto, and it started off, that's the puppy. We have 2 puppies right now, fostering them. They started off this size leaf. It had, unfortunately, like a short runner here. Oh wait, or did it have a leaf? Maybe it had a leaf, but this is how big it is now. It did look a lot better, in my opinion, when it was kind of bent down. Oh my gosh, I saw, who did this? You don't even grow here, maybe? No, Unplanned Parenthood. Unplanned Parenthood. She like bent the petioles. Actually kind of works. Oh my god. Oop, I kind of broke it. Oh well, hopefully it stays fine. That's the biggest leaf though. Ah, okay. No more manipulating the leaves. Anyway, so this is the biggest leaf for sure. And this leaf came out kind of pale. I think it might be because I wasn't adding any fertilizer to the poles. That's one thing that's easy to forget when you just water with the water bottle method, because oftentimes I don't remember to put any fertilizer in those bottles because they are not... Apollo! Sorry, singing wasn't gonna work in this case. Oh, here's Fisher. He's just nosy. He's quiet though. Oh wait, this one actually is the biggest leaf. I need to focus. Anyway, so this one came out a little pale and a little smaller, and I think it was because of lack of nutrients. Okay, I'll put that down. This, I just extended this one, so there's 3 grow thickly poles on top of each other for this one. Ooh, a little moist. This one is a very new one. It just grows super freaking fast. It is my Epipremnum Panatum Marble. So it hasn't really sized up much because if you see, like, this is one of the original leaves that I got it with, like here, and like the biggest leaf I feel like is like maybe this one. It hasn't really sized up. It just grows super fast. And so it's like hard for me I feel like it's hard for it to size up because I am a little bit lax on the watering. So it grows really well. And I like this leaf size, honestly. I don't know if I have much room for any bigger one. I just need to be better about watering this one. Epipremnum. Not a marble. Let me run away and hide from these annoying dogs. Okay, I don't want to show too much of the plant room right now because I've been, since I went back to work or class, whatever, school after the holidays, I just haven't, I've been doing a lot of plant chores and I haven't had time to keep the room clean. But here's my grow tent. These plants that I have on the moss poles by no means need higher humidity to survive, but it prevents the moss from drying out too fast when I'm a very busy human being. So I have quite a few of my moss poles in here. I'll start with the tiny ones and make you wait for the big ones. Although if you follow me on Instagram, you probably have already seen some of the big ones. I need to water those pothos. Ah. These poor pothos, they just sit on top of our carnivorous plant cabinet, and They don't get any supplemental light other than through the sides of the cabinet. And they do fine. It's just, I forget to water them. Plug for my planty friend Kate. I just got this crew from her. It's so soft. It says plants on the front. And then on the back, it's probably gonna be inverted because on my front facing camera, it says her name, her Instagram name up there, Earth, Wind, and Plants. It's also her shop name. In one stair, it says plants are friends. She has a ton of good apparel. Model status. Okay, let's show the moss poles. Also, like, all my anthuriums live in this tent. And that's probably why they look as good as they do. I have an anthurium video that you should watch. I think I just flung a piece of moss. Okay, let's start with the little one. So this is technically this is my newest real moss pole. It's a Philodendron Majestic. Oh, this lighting is like fine. It's whatever. So I just put it on there. So this is first leaf on the pole. I don't have much to say about it other than I love my Soderoy. I forgot about my Soderoy. My Soderoy is out in the living room. I'll grab that. And this is like similar to the Soderoy, but just a little bit more green. There's a ton of sphagnum moss on the floor because I made a moss pole and such. Let's see. Next little guy is my Monstera obliqua Peru. I put this on a moss pole purely because Melissa put hers on a moss pole, but I don't know if Jan has an obliqua on a moss pole. I'm gonna feel really silly if he does. Sorry, Jan. But yeah, I put this one on a moss pole because they put out really long runners that are really annoying if you don't. So yeah, it's not sizing up like a ton, but it's also not growing super fast. It's not a fast grower. Because the same time, oh god, Fisher just scared me. At the same time I put that one on a moss pole, I think, I also put this one on a moss pole, and oh my god, I'm blanking on the name. Ernestii? Yeah, Ernestii. This one I believe Jan has, and he influenced me. So they're pretty just like narrow green oval leaves. This is the newest leaf, and I can see it starting to get like a roughly petiole, which is fun. Again, this one is really light because I don't think I was adding any nutrients or enough nutrients to the moss. I use little clips. This is a dragonfly that came with one of my orchids. Can you hear the dogs? You probably can. Great. To move it around, so now it's more in the middle. So there's her. She's got really long petioles. So if you look at it like this, it's kind of boring. So I've put a light in front of her to try to get some of these to bend down a little bit. But very long petioles, but very beautiful pillowy leaves. And apparently, roughly petioles. Those dogs are being a menace. I really hope that you guys cannot hear them. I just put my Florida Beauty on a moss pole because I chopped it and I'm ready for it to get like massive leaves. So this is actually a unique one because it has no roots. So I have wrapped it like this to get roots to start to grow into the moss pole. But yeah, I had to chop this plant 3 times because it kept giving me all yellow leaves, which I prefer rather than all green, just because I don't want it to like revert and not be able to get the variegation back. But third time's a charm. I got the variegation back. This is the beginning of something great. I feel it. This one is just like hanging on a hook in here. I feel like you can totally hear my idiotic dogs in the background. Oh, that was a puppy. Let me go grab my soda before I show you my big dogs. What are you doing? Okay, I'm back, and this is my soda. It only is on one pole right now, even though it has so many leaves. I love the soda because it grows so bushy and compact, but climbs. Like, you don't have to see any of the stem if you treat it nicely. This is technically a bottom cut that put out this new leaf right away after I cut it, and I'm in love. This one's not like sizing up a ton anyway either, but when they get big, they don't keep this like silveriness as much, and that's kind of like why I have it. So I'm okay if it just like keeps this size leaf. This leaf actually does look huge. Newest leaf. Very exciting. Okay, I can do some of my bigger ones now. Another one I just have like hanging up in here is my Philodendron Burl Marks Fantasy. And this is another one that is not in a pot. They don't need dirt. They don't need soil if you give them nutrients from up here. Learn that from Sydney Plant Guy. It's so funny because I always thought his name was Sydney, and then I figured out that he just lived in Sydney, Australia, because my name is Sydney and it's spelled like the city in Australia. There's also a city in Nebraska where I live called Sydney, but it's spelled wrong, spelled with an I. So anyway, I learned from him that it still has soil kind of at the bottom, which is fine, but it wasn't like really rooted into the pot very much. It like rooted into this pole a lot easier. I really wish I had a little bit better light. It's fine. So imagine, you don't have to imagine, this is what it looks like. It's just like, it looks a little bit more blue when the light hits it. But this is another one that like, it could stay this size and I wouldn't care. It's also another one that, since it's a little bit smaller, it can grow up 2 vines on this plant. If you look, can you see, let's see if there's a different one. You can kind of see, there's like texture, not texture, but there's like a pattern. It kind of looks like a checkered leaf a little bit. Ooh, this is a really fun leaf. It was just, this is not really, you could call it sport variegation. Sure, but I think it was just like the leaf misformed because it's a little bit like wrinkly, but it's kind of fun. Like a bolt of lightning. This is what having huskies is like. They don't shut up. One reason I could never live in Australia, Jan, or even Georgia where Melissa lives, because I have those idiots. It's 20 degrees outside right now. That's why they have so much energy. 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I think, below 0 on the Celsius scale. Yeah, it's like negative on the Celsius scale, I believe. Because the 0 is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. I love cold weather, but it sucks because that means I have to have this like really cramped plant room for all these huge plants because I can't have outside garden. all year round. I did have some of my moss balls growing outside over the summer, but I could not keep up with how wet they needed to be. Let's do this next one. This is one of my next favorites. Is my Milano Chrysum. She is slow for me. It actually still has its very first leaf. This is from a mid-cut. It's yellowing, it's starting to yellow. Oh. But look how tiny this pot is. Like, and this is supporting this much plant because there's so many roots in the moss. This is, that's the best leaf. I think this is the best leaf that in my opinion, because it's still it's stayed pretty dark and it's kind of wide. This one's more narrow. Very nice. This one would have been great, but it ripped. I dropped it. And then it kind of sized down a little bit on me. My fault. Didn't keep the pole very dry. So hopefully, oh, it's already starting to root. But hopefully this leaf will get back to this size because I've been doing my best to keep it moist now. Yeah, so that's my Milano Chrysum. She also is one that has grown really compact for me. I think it's because I gave it a lot of light. So the leaves weren't staying quite as dark. They look really dark on screen, but they have a little bit still that bronzy tone to them in the real light, in the real world. Like this one, you can maybe kind of see it. Yeah, they kept kind of on a more bronzy tone because I was just giving them so much light. Okay, I'm gonna do my second favorite. It's only my second favorite because I goofed and now it's sizing down. It's really heavy because I just watered it. Okay. This is actually the only moss pole that I've used the chop and prop method, name coined, or chop and extend, the chop and extend method. And wow, love her. She started off like a leaf like this big. I don't have two hands, so I can't really show, but it was like this big. And it had like really long internode spacing, so I like chopped it up and put it back on the moss pole as two. And then this is like I said, the first one I chopped and extended because the leaf was like, the leaves were sizing up really nice. I think this one is the biggest one. It's just not like as dark as the other ones. And yeah, it started sizing down because I wasn't keeping it humid enough in the tent. And so it's drying out really fast. And so it wasn't quite rooting in to the pole, just like the Milano Chrysum. So like this is the newest leaf. It's really small. It's really cute. But then it like did a weird gross vine at the top that was like super long. And I had to think, it's like, well, do I like get over the awkwardness and leave this huge bare space on the vine? And I decided no, I chopped it. And I'm hoping that, you know, with a lot of light and a lot of roots into the pole, it will at least put out a leaf that's this size. So it hurts a little bit to go backwards on like my favorite pole plant because I probably have too high of standards. That's because my standard is Sydney plant guys. Yeah, it's too high a standard. I don't live in Australia. I need to get that out of my head. I live in Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska. In the middle of the US. Where it's cold. It's balls. But anyway, so a little bit of setback, but love her. Love her just the same. I don't think I'm gonna get that back in, if I'm gonna be completely honest. Let's just set it down now. This one is also in moss. So it could also be another like nutrient problem. That's the reason why it sized down. Because when I chopped into props, I just like, I don't want to put it in soil, you know? So I didn't. Okay, so my favorite one, and it's my last one. I believe. So I don't have near as many as others, but I'm a very busy person and very forgetful plant parent. So moss poles do take a little bit of remembering to maintain them. So this one, I don't remember. I think the only person I know that has this on a moss pole is Fern. And hers looks amazing. AJ, Growing Grounds, who's one of Jan's best friends. She has, I think, a few really big ones of this. It's a Philodendron brandianum, and a lot of people hate this plant because it grows terribly. It does. If it's not in like 100% humidity, if it's not in a lot of humidity, if it's not like constantly staying moist, it grows stupid. I'm just gonna say it. It grows dumb. And so I saw Fern and AJ growing it on a moss pole, and I was like, have to, because I love these leaves, maybe even more than the Soderoy, because they look sort of painted. Oh, this lighting is so terrible, but the sun is yet to be seen today. Anyway, this is an east-facing window, so it doesn't help anyway. The sun's all over the house. But yeah, it hasn't sized up like a ton. It's sizing up slowly. So this leaf is pretty big by my standards. And this one is getting back there too. This one too. But I like this size. If I didn't have like a full bushy girl, I like this size. This is 2 vines, and they do have a little bit longer, comparatively, of an internodal spacing. So 2 vines makes it look really nice and full. If I had a wider moss pole, I'd probably do more vines. But this is my favorite one. She's also my tallest. She is 1, 2, 3, 4 thick leaf poles. And for record, I am 6 foot tall, which is like 2 meters. God, I hope I'm not making a fool out of myself. I'm sorry. I'm American. I don't know the metric system very well. I'm also in healthcare, which is where they use the that was my dog sitting under the door, wondering what I'm doing in here. Anyway, I'm supposed to know how to use the metric system, at least a little bit, and I don't. This one is one that's like a little bit, you've got to wrangle it a little bit more. So I, again, use this clips. They're like mostly made for orchids. Apollo, be quiet. So don't put it up too high, Sydney. So I'll do that. I just I inch these clips up every time to make sure I get them. I think that's maybe one of the issues, is that it doesn't like to cling to the pole very much. So that's maybe another reason why it's not sizing up, because it's not rooted into the pole when the new leaf is hardening off. But she's my favorite because she's so big and bushy, and just used to growing it when I was growing it. Train derailed. Anyway, when I was growing it without a moss pole, it was ugly. So ugly. And to see it do this. Excellent. Let's see. It's a little late for me to be switching things up, but I need a little bit more light because I love her so much. My bonsai is in the way. It's still in the way, but there. Why didn't I do this the whole time? I have regrets. It's fine. She's all that matters. But that is all my moss poles. This one is growing. I do have it hanging from the top of my tent because it's really not that heavy. And I don't want to chop it ever. So I'll just keep extending it. Unless it starts sizing up significantly, then I might. But anyway, that is all my moss poles. If you're wondering maybe why I mentioned Jan so much in this video, it's because he is going to be making a video kind of like showing off people's inspired by Jan plants, and moss poles are one thing that he's really well known for. So Dogs! Please stop! Ah! So sorry for that. Anyway, so I was going to send this video to him to see if he would want to feature a wee lass from Nebraska, and her moss poles. So that's part of the reason why I have talked about him so much, because he really did inspire a lot of this. Him, Melissa, and Fern. Like, I feel like I have to give proper shout outs to them too, because they grew plants on moss poles that I didn't even think to grow on moss poles. And that was a game changer. Oops. I do have a few plants that I am wanting to grow on a moss pole soon. And I figured maybe I'd show them as well. Oh my god. So I already showed the Florida Beauty, which is like not technically on a moss pole yet. This girly, my variegated Adansonii. I definitely want to put her on a moss pole. The dogs are literally... one that I'm not sure about because I already had it on a moss pole and I had to take it off, so I put a bunch of cuttings into this. This would be like rice stalk, I guess. This is also an Adansonii, variegated Adansonii. It is the Indonesian form, so it's kind of minty and kind of a weird leaf shape. So like this is like the best leaf shape I can show, but like totally weird leaf shape. Let's see, who else? Oh, I'm gonna run out of space for moss poles, and I'm blaming you, Jan and Melissa, because there's many that I could go on moss poles because I'm inspired by them. One that I'm not sure of yet is my Medium Medium Silver, because they get like the pronged fingers, and they also like put out runners. So see, it like skipped up. I think the only reason that this is not thrown out like a massive runner for me, why am I hiding behind my bonsai, is because I keep it in the tent, which is super high humidity. I think I'm running a little short on time. I actually have something to do today. I did cut my Syngonium albo all up, which made me so sad, but it was just like one long vine and everybody told me to chop it, so I did. So I'll probably put that on some sort of moss pole or support because I have many different cuttings now. They won't really size up, which is fine, but if we're talking about plants I want to put on a moss pole, another one is, I'm not gonna get it out. Should I get it out? No. I think I'm running out of time. I have to go to my friend's for her birthday. It's a variegated chia pens. I just got that. I have a regular chia pens, which it's really long, so it's not gonna have time. Syngonium chia pens. Oh. And she's pretty. She's just a little burnt, but look how pretty. So yeah, maybe her. And then maybe a Marble Queen Pothos, because Melissa's Marble Queen Pothos is exquisite. And then my Varicosum, which I had to cut up recently because it was just looking so terrible. I'm not gonna get that one out because it's kind of tucked in there. That's another one that I would want to put on a moss pole. Maybe another Syngonium, my Frosted Heart. I have not seen this one growing on a moss pole, and it was getting bigger just fine, just like on a cocoa pole. So for these, oh my, maybe a Micans. Oh, stop! I'm like thinking about all these amazing moss poles that I know exist, and I like Jan and Melissa both have amazing Adansonii. Haven't put an Adansonii on a moss pole because I had mine trailing. Moss poles are gonna be the death of me. Anyway, let me know in the comments which one you thought was the coolest or your favorite. If you thought any of those other plants that I want to put on a moss pole would look good on a moss pole. If you know anyone that has it, like tell me their Instagram or whatnot. And then go ahead and follow my Instagram because that's where I'm planning on posting like a how-to for the Grow Thickly moss poles. I know there's a lot of that out there, but maybe my followers don't follow those people. So I just and I had somebody, at least one of my followers, request to teach how to make moss poles. So yeah, give this video a thumbs up, press subscribe, follow me on Instagram, follow City of the Plant Guy, which I'm sure most people do. Melissa and Fern all have great YouTube channels too, so follow them on Instagram and YouTube, and maybe you'll see me on Jan's YouTube video, which would be amazing because I am obsessed with him. Just kidding, I'm not obsessed with him. That came off really creepy. I just have followed him from the very beginning of my plant journey, and he has been obviously a huge inspiration along with Melissa and Fern and several other Instagrammers, YouTubers, whatnot. So I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.